Well, we've had a lot of great opportunities in Wisconsin to see the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights, but what are we really seeing when we see that, and how do all those colors form? Well, let's talk about it. First, the Earth has a magnetic field that connects here at the poles, the North Pole and the South Pole. Well, now we look towards the sun because that's where that energy comes from via what's called a solar wind. Now, sometimes we can get what's called a CME, or coronal mass ejection, that comes off the sun. What is that? Think of it as a whole bunch of plasma coming off the sun, charged plasma, coming off of the sun and moving towards the Earth, sometimes at 1,000,000 miles per hour. So all of that sun's energy, or the energy from the sun, comes towards the Earth, and then it makes its way through the Earth's magnetic field and enters at the North or the South Pole. Now, how do we get those colors in the sky then? Well, that energy from that plasma, for example, enters the Earth's atmosphere and it excites our molecules in the atmosphere, like oxygen and nitrogen, at various heights and various levels of the atmosphere. So as those charged particles come in and excite our own particles here on Earth, once it starts to settle down, then we start to see photons being emitted, which are little areas of light. Now, depending on what molecules have been excited here and at what altitude will determine the various colors. So very interesting here. I'll step out of the way. So the red auroras, which are somewhat rare, that would be high up oxygen molecules. Blue would be nitrogen molecules. Green is really the most common, and that would be oxygen molecules, but lower than the red ones, which are much higher up. And then sometimes we'll get the pink or maybe even purplish colors in there as well, and that would be those nitrogen molecules. So again, to kind of recap here, it all starts with the sun. In fact, there is a federal government agency called the Space Weather Prediction Center. They're out of Boulder, Colorado, and they monitor all of this. They monitor all of this space weather, what's going on with the sun and so on when all of these pieces of energy come off of the sun, and exactly how they can interact with Earth, because it's not just that a piece of energy or a CME, for example, from the sun comes towards the Earth. Well, it also depends. Is it daytime here in Wisconsin? If it is, then, well, we're not going to see it in terms of the Northern Lights, but it can also impact radio signals and transmissions and GPS navigation, things like that as well, maybe even the power grid. So there's a lot that has to be watched when it comes to the sun's energy as it approaches the Earth. So again, that's all done by the Space Weather Prediction Center out of Boulder, Colorado, but just very interesting with how all of this science comes together, and when it's just right, we can see brilliant displays of the Northern Lights. And just a quick reminder, next time we have that opportunity, take your cell phone camera with you as well, because many times the cell phone camera just can see a lot better than our human eyes can. So a lot of times you can make out these colors better with your cell phone camera than with the human eye. So make sure to bring your cell phone camera along with you as well.